You're never weaker because of that. Ooh, almost got it. You're never weaker because of that, but in this game, they draw out the actual power of your character, which feels really, really bad, because then you're like, it's going to take me forever to get to this power level.
Yeah, there's another game that did that. It was Diablo 3. When you look at Jay Wilson's interviews about the progression system in the initial game, it was all about making the progression system last for years and years and years. The way that they did that was being stingy, and that is never fun. You know, you want to be gaining power in a progression system, but you also want that to not be completely like disabling people from the race of potentially being good at the game. And to be fair, when I played the beta on PC, like, I had no problem with the progression system, mainly because nobody was buying crates at that point, so you didn't see that crazy stuff. But even then, I think, like, it's a really easy thing to defend, like I just did, for instance, when that guy killed me and had a bunch of greens. It's like, oh, he's got more than I do, that's why he won. No, he won because I had 1 HP and he flanked me. So, yeah, it is kind of a scapegoat. Like, I like progression systems. I like the idea of prestige. But all that stuff gets tainted in terms of its context. Back out of that. I really need that healing thing. This guy's gonna chase me. Oh, see?
That was beautiful.
Half of being good at FPS is just understanding player psychology. The other half is shooting people in the face.
you got them both.
Yeah, it's just all makeup of a psychopath.
There's a question from Twitter.
I got flanked. Where's my team? See, this is what you got to do. Blame the progression system. Blame your team. It's not you. All the other factors, dang it.
You're really reinforcing some great things for our audience here.
Yeah, blame your team. Just get it tattooed on your chest.
You can ask questions on Twitter for us, also with hashtag #IGNPlaysLive. The Potato King says, hello, Jimothy and the Pie Man. What do you think of multiplayer in this versus the original? So that's a bit of a complex question, because I think that when it comes to gunplay, I think this game is undeniably better than the first. Like, it feels really, really good. The maps are more varied. It's really pretty, but the first one was as well. Like, I think it has so many things going for it that the first game did not have. But the progression system just makes me not want to play it as much.
Or engage with that? Yeah, I agree.
Engage with it as much.
I think battle points are also an objective. Well, I mean, it is subjective, but I think battle points are a much better system than
yeah, the battle points, the hero battle point system is great.
So, like, from a gameplay perspective, I enjoy this game. That being said, I'm still defaulting back to Battlefield 1. It's weird. Like, this is great for a Star Wars game, but Battlefield 1 just feels better to me. Call me crazy. Also, like, this is another huge part I have with this. Is like, okay, I'm gonna go into spawn, and so now I can't go that way, and I kind of have to look at the map and backpedal, and that's just me not knowing the Death Star 2 map, but it's really annoying. There are like times where you go to flank, it's like out of bounds, and you come back in.
They definitely don't, because the maps, I think that's a symptom of the maps being so kind of big, and like the objectives move as you go, and so places that are like built with a certain objective in mind kind of shift as the map goes on, and then it just kind of becomes a little confusing to navigate.
So, obviously, personal threats and attacks aside, which are never okay under any context, in terms of, like, game development and being outraged at a game.
Be nice to people. Sure.
That aside, I think the reaction was generally warranted. I think the visceral Reddit reaction I was actually very happy to see. You know, there are a lot of folks out there who'd be like, you know, stop being so negative about the game. It has these other positives. But frankly, if we weren't as negative on Reddit, and if it wasn't as big of an issue, this system would be still installed, implemented, and it would continue to be implemented in any iteration of this game and other games. And then we would see it disseminate into all these other games. So that aren't even necessarily EA. You know, it's kind of like being in a class and your teacher's telling you to do your homework, and then one kid takes out his phone. And the teacher looks and sees and goes, well, whatever, one kid has his phone out, that's okay. Like, he probably finished his homework. Then another kid takes out his phone. Then, before you know it, everybody is taking out their phone. And then that one kid who initially had his phone out is, I don't know. What is he doing? What is also not appropriate? He is standing up on his desk and screaming. and this is the most drawn out and terrible analogy of all time, but my point here being when somebody does it and it doesn't have that kind of reaction, then it becomes okay. And then other people are going to do it because it didn't fundamentally destroy your game the way it did Star Wars Battlefront 2. So I am unapologetic or apathetic, and my gun model is not loaded into the game. We're getting some really good bugs that are really justifying that 6.5 you gave it.
I've never seen this bug before, to be fair.
But anyway, like the point with microtransactions is that level of negativity. Again, threats aside, is everybody invisible?
I think all the models
I think
are
nothing
invisible.
Loaded. We'll just play with this. We'll call it a cool game mode.
This is hard mode, yeah.
This is Invisible Blast, the new mode.
Is everyone actually invisible? This is amazing.
But think about, go back 14 years and look at the outrage over Horse Armor DLC, and look at how far we've come from that. That is nothing compared to what we have today. So like, it's a slow but subtle degradation. I can't see anybody.
And I think
models have loaded.
I think you just gotta get killed, or you can maybe respawn to try to fix it.
No, I'm gonna die by the sword.
All right.
Don't you ever say that to me.
I think one of the important things, because I don't disagree, I think that the calling out stuff like this is important.
I mean, isn't this just essentially like Battlefield gameplay anyway? You're just shooting under a pip.
Yeah. I think the important thing to distinguish there is, like, being critical of a game is always okay. Like, that's our job as reviewers, is to be critical of a game. You just have to be sensitive to how you are critical, and then like not being like, as you said, not being abusive.
Yeah, right.
And then also,
there's a difference.
There's this weird thing too for me where it's like, if someone else enjoys a game that you're critical of, like, that's fine.
That's fine.
Like they can enjoy
Absolutely.
the game without you without you agreeing. You know. Like,
remember, this is giving me flashbacks to God, what was it? Ghost Recon. The original Ghost Recon, where there was just no weapons. It was just it's very intense. I'm also playing in third-person mode. As we can see, the battle droids.
This is third person?
The battle droids are very, very difficult to see. They have a very thin
stealth.
silhouette, so much so that they are actually completely one-dimensional, and I actually literally can't see them.
If you get a kill like this, though,
I'm gonna have to quit out, which is annoying.
Yeah.
But, hey, whatever.
Let's get some more questions. Another question coming in from Twitter for Derek Rogers. Tagged us with hashtag IG.
That you can unabashedly just decide that this game is not okay because of this one system that ruins everything else that's great about it, and still not get enjoyment out of that stuff that's great. It's basically, I think Battlefront 2 is a game that a lot of people are looking at the multiplayer and saying that the classes are better than what we had in Battlefront 1. I agree. The battle point system is better. I agree. The gunplay is better. I agree. Some of the maps are definitely good, but what they've done with the microtransaction system, specifically, not even just progression, for me, has destroyed any interest that I will ever have in this game. And also, it's just a fumbled release. Now we have a scenario where some people have these remarkably high vertical progressions because they paid in the first few days before early access because they ordered the digital deluxe edition, and then we're coming in this altruistic sense where we've disabled microtransactions, and now I have to grind out for 20 hours if I want to be on their playing level. And also, I just don't want to support this kind of system. This is not a system that is ethically okay.
So there was a question on YouTube from Liono saying, do you feel the story was thrown together just to say they added it? No, I think that the story very clearly, and full disclosure, one of the co-writers of the story, Mitch Dyer, used to work at IGN. He was an editor here, but he was an editor here before I ever came to IGN. I don't know him. I've never met him. But what I will say about the story is that I think it had a nugget of really good in it, and that was Aiden Versio. I think Aiden Versio's story was like really compelling until the campaign completely ignored it. And then you jump off and do all these other things where you're like playing as heroes, and like it goes down a very predictable path. And I won't say any more spoilers than that, but like, yeah, I don't think the story was just like slapped together to say they had it. I think they tried to make something and then like tried to make too many things out of it, and it just ended up being totally muddled.
Also, like all of the press,
nicely done.
Thank you. All of the press stuff for the story, like all of the press previews, were talking about how we're contextualizing Aiden's intent as trying to give you some context in the Stormtrooper. And by the way, this is something that nothing, with the exception of the Clone Wars animated series, has done well, and that's contextualize the Stormtrooper. You know, as soon as we see a Stormtrooper's face, with the exception of Captain Phasma, they become good. That is a universal for Star Wars. Like, Stormtroopers are at their heart evil and unjustifiable, so how could they ever have an adult... I'm gonna die. How could they ever have an adult context that is justifying their actions? And the answer from this game is they can't. They have to be good at their heart, and they have to be redeemable, and I guess Star Wars is a redemption story at its core, but still, it was... the whole, like, the commercial, in my mind, was come see what it's like to be a Stormtrooper, the rhetoric they're being fed, the indoctrination, the context, what they believe, and instead of that, we didn't get that.
Yeah, we didn't get that.
We got,
it's a bummer.
she's good, even though she's killed more rebels than anybody cares to count.
Yeah, the marketing in the game was definitely very misleading in terms of what the campaign actually is. Another interesting question from Twitch chat, from Ninja TW, I think it is, says... where'd it go? There we go. What would the review score be just based on gameplay if you took all the progression problems away? And my answer to that is you literally can't do that. Like you can't ask that question. I don't think I'd have an answer to that question because it's so tied together, right? Like this is what the game is. And I can say that the shooting part of it is good where the progression system is not, but you can't really pull those two apart, because also then it comes to the question of like, what's replacing the progression system? Are there no star cards? Are all the star cards available but free? Are they acquired in some way besides loot boxes? Is there just zero progression at all? Like, there's a lot of questions that come up with that, and it's not just that simple. But the shooting definitely, or the progression system definitely doesn't do the shooting justice, is what you can say.
I would, for one, really appreciate the ability to vault over objects from a purely gameplay stance. This is not a quantification of Tom's review score by any means, but like when you play this, I think there's an initial oh boy, there's just a kind of a knee-jerk reaction to I'm just gonna get killed. Anytime you start shooting at a vehicle and you're out of cover, people are just gonna shoot you.
Oh, you assist, but still.
He's pretty low.
I love the dodge rolling you're doing. I don't dodge roll nearly enough.
Oh, you gotta dodge roll. Anyway, yeah, so like I think my base of comparison here is Battlefield 1, and this is an objectively worse shooter in my opinion. So objectively, so that's, see what I did? That's an oxymoron. Subjectively, to me, this is a worse shooter. It doesn't, it just doesn't feel as good, doesn't feel as cohesive. The things that I do like about this game are the battle point system is really cool, but I do miss kind of like a vehicle rush at the start. I also really enjoy the hero unlocks, but just in terms of shooting mechanics, being able to go prone, or the inability to go prone, being able to vault over things, and then weapon customization, I think that you're sacrificing a lot of that for a Star Wars aesthetic, which is cool. People can get into it, that's fine. It's certainly more approachable, I think, than Battlefield 1, so it's got that going for it.
Yeah, a couple other questions were that someone was asking about loot boxes. Yeah, you can still get loot boxes with in-game credits. That is... that was lovely.
Oh, come on, dude.
Almost.
Also, if you're used to like an Overwatch level of fidelity in terms of mid-air movement, good luck, bro.
Oh, there's a guy.
Yeah. I'm just going to die in 10 seconds, so I might as well just get some kills.
Nice. Did you get that guy? Or?
I did.
Okay. Yeah,
That was a waste.
So this was actually a question. How do you feel about this? Because I know some people early in the game, early like in the beta, were upset that the rocket boost was no longer just like something that anyone could have, and it's now sequestered to a rocket trooper. Yep. I actually really like that because having everyone rocket boost all the time, like it was such a cool ability that like you can still get it pretty quickly in this because it doesn't take too much to unlock the rocket trooper in the middle of a game, but then also you don't have like everyone boosting around.
Yeah, I think to your point about a non-fulfilling vertical progression, I think like the rocket pack is an example of a fulfilling vertical progression, or a fulfilling progression in general. So I think if we had something like that, you know, like the shield and the rocket pack, I think are a cool choice that you have to decide what your playstyle caters to. I'm trying to think of a game that does side grades and like oh boy, I died. Asymmetrical decisions really well. I actually think, to bring it back to Battlefield 1, it's a good example where the weapons you were unlocking are so dissimilar to one another. So for instance, this DLC coming out has the first machine pistol, which by 1918, they had the whole machine pistol fully automatic thing figured out just fine, but what they didn't have figured out was a detachable magazine. So you shoot, a single trigger pull like spits out your entire 16-round magazine, and then you have to jam 16 rounds back into there. So it confers this really interesting gameplay where you win 1v1s if you're close enough every single time, but the reload time is so huge. Oh man, the aim assist really helped me there. That's good.
Yeah, I'm not. Aim assist is a heck of a drug, man. I don't do that on mouse and keyboard.
That, yeah.
I don't dabble.
Like, I wouldn't have even seen that guy had my controller not gone straight to his head.
That's one of the main reasons actually you're playing today is because I'm terrible with a controller on shooters, man. I am mouse and keyboard all the I think you're doing fine.
I'm doing all right.
I'm sure the chat disagrees, but
sure.
You know.
Given the context, I think we're all good.
Question from Twitch chat: can you tell in-game if a player is higher level, more upgraded than you?
Only if they kill you.
Only if they kill you.
Which is another readability issue, and again, like, you know, there's an interview with Jeff Kaplan where he is talking about
Jeff Kaplan being the Overwatch game director.
Yes. I should probably contextualize that. They're talking about a progression system that how the hell do I get out of that? Okay. They were talking about a progression system, like kind of a skill tree in Overwatch. So for Reaper, as an example, I'm going to grab this thing. One of the examples was you could either choose to have his Wraith form go twice as long or his Wraith form heal you to full HP. But they realized that was really difficult from a readability standpoint with all these variables and you swapping heroes. There's just too many variables to have a concise gameplay. So they got rid of that progression system. And I think every developer should figure out if a progression system works for the game, and if so, which one. Aesthetics are always a safe bet. That can be applied to just about everything.
I mean, I have a list of like 20 different things. Oh my
big
goodness.
brother. Oh yeah. God. I'm sorry, big bro. I didn't mean it.
Run! Oh, does that actually have a sprint? That's so cool.
Yeah. And so these are like repurposed Republic Trooper, you know, from the original trilogy. I like the subtle canonization here.
I don't think I've ever tried to sprint as one of these, because usually I'm just like firing while walking.
What else do I have here? I have some kind of radar. This thing does a laughably low amount of damage.
Back of the head's the weak point, though.
Is it?
Yeah. See? There you go.
All right.
Took him down.
What is this? Oh, ion charge. Okay. I definitely should have used that. Whatever. We're fine. Oh, hey, look, there's another one.
You get another opportunity.
I get the ion charge. So yeah, speaking strictly about amazing good shooters, I played a little bit of Rainbow Six Siege last night.
Dude, Siege is a great game.
Siege is a great game.
Siege continues to just be like low-key, successful, and very fun and consistently updated.
Yeah, it had some problems. I love what they did, and a lot of people got salty about this. It's called Operation Health.
Yeah.
But basically, in lieu of DLC, they pushed a DLC back, didn't charge people for this season, so they get an extra, basically, season of DLC. And they just took 3 months to fix their game, because people were like, fix your game. You know, that's kind of the, this is broken, fix it, blah, blah, blah. And they were like, you know what, you're right, we're going to do it. So that's great.
There was a question on YouTube that I now have lost that was something along the lines of, oh yeah, here, Gavin House asked, could Disney contract another developer now for the next Star Wars game? And I believe the answer is no. They're still under contract with EA for like another 5 years.
Sure.
I might not be exactly right on the numbers there.
To play devil's advocate here, EA has made some good games, or they've published some great games. Even in the last 2 years, Battlefield 1 and Titanfall 2. I mean, they came out the same day, so that was a problem. Not exactly the same day, right? But like just about. And those were two games that have been well supported. Titanfall 2 has received a lot of free DLC. I go back and play that frequently, and then Battlefield 1, you know, it has this very steady release cadence. And the progression system in that is also loot box progression to a T, but it's not as annoying for some reason. We should do a psychology study to figure out why that is.
Similarly to this, I keep seeing people on Twitter tweeting at me in response to the review and the review in progress and all this stuff, saying EA had the easiest job in the world by making, like, all they had to do was make a Star Wars multiplayer shooter and that's it. And I understand that point of view, but, and I'm not defending the game they've made, right? Because like you've probably seen my review by now, like I don't like it. But it is, I don't believe it is in any way, shape, or form easy to make any sort of official Star Wars game.
Or any game, period.
Well, any game, period, but like, think of the expectation, the hoops they gotta jump through. Like, there are so many things that go into making a Star Wars game that complicate it, on top of it making a AAA first-person shooter. Like, that's not an easy thing. Hey,
sure.
Did that just give you...
No, it was telling me that I got some credits.
Gotcha. This is like a fresher account we're playing.
Yeah, and this is as loot boxes go, this is as bad as it gets.
Because we just got parts.
We got 5 crafting parts, and we got 125 credits for, like, I mean, this is a daily login crate, so I can't complain. But honestly, this is like Clash of Clans levels of annoying. For
context, for people who don't know, the cheapest card costs 40 to craft. So getting 5 crafting parts in a daily crate is basically a slap in the face. Like, it's insulting. It's
there's a factor with progression, and that is the stingy level. We got Boba Fett, Slave 1, so that's, but, you know, I don't know, that's situational. Stop it. Yeah, so Diablo 3, when it initially came out, wasn't dropping legendaries at a good rate. When they did drop, they were bad, so that was a big problem, arguably bigger than their drop rate. But the fact that they were so stingy about the drop rates just compounded the whole issue. And Diablo 3 now is like you play it for 5 minutes and you get 3 legendaries. So maybe there's a balance to be had there. I, for one, am all about doing a specific thing for a chance to unlock a specific thing. So in Destiny, as an example, like, I would love to be able to go do strikes and then get specific gear from that. You can do it from the raid or trials. And I like that. Because in addition to just focusing you in... Like,
wait, hold up real quick. I'm sorry to interrupt, but this is one of the things that annoys me more than anything else about the Loot Crate system. You just opened up a victory pose, like, not even a cool victory pose. A victory pose that manages to make Darth Vader look lame. For a character you do not have, and have to spend 15,000 credits to unlock.
By the way,
that's insane.
I know this isn't an emote, but the fact that there are emotes for heroes, when the hell am I going to use an emote?
Yeah.
I am sprinting around, desperately trying not to die as everybody hunts me as Darth Vader or Darth Maul. Like, I don't have... This is an Overwatch. I don't have time.
Yeah.
But, you know, hey, Overwatch is making money. So
a nice little clarification from Mighty Jiro in the Twitch chat says EA Star Wars contract is for 10 years and started in 2012. So it ends in 2022. So
2022.
That's how much longer we're going to get EA-only Star Wars games. Which, as we said, is not necessarily a death sentence. EA has made a lot of good games this year. This was definitely not one of them. Yep. Here's an interesting philosophical question. Actually, let's dig into this a little bit more.
So I want to finish my point about loot box progression. Another reason why it's bad is not just you have no control over what you're getting, and you're getting these diminishing returns on your investment when you get duplicate cards, but it also isn't telling a story, right? So let's bring up World of Warcraft, because I have to in every single piece of content I'm in. If I were in Orgrimmar and I saw somebody wearing the T2 pauldrons, I knew that they had to go, or the T2 helm, they had to go fight on Nexia, a giant dragon. And they had to get 40 people to do that, and they had to go into this cave, and it was a big pain in the butt, and they probably wiped a bunch and yelled at each other and then posted it on YouTube. There's a story, there's a narrative there. When I see that piece of gear, it has a connotation that comes with it. It has a narrative. When I see somebody with assault training, which I'm about to craft, the only story that is being told is one of opening a loot box, which is never an interesting story.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I completely agree, and that is a really good one. Also, it's just a small amount of health, but like 40 health on a kill is not...
That's also not the one I wanted to unlock.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I wanted...
You wanted the... the one where it regens your health quicker. I think it's a bottom row, either second from the left or second from the right. Excuse me, bottom row of the boost cards.
Is it this?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
is it survivalist? It might be an ability. Toughen up.
Oh, to actually heal yourself.
Yeah, it's proof through. Maybe they took it out. Recharge Vanguard, kill streak Vanguard. No, I've used it. Toughen up. Regenerate your health when this ability is active.
Gotcha. Yeah.
All right, so now I need more crafting. So let's go ahead and put in our credit card. Oh wait. Let's just go play. Let's check out some.
Yeah. So why don't we
Starfighter.
Yeah. So we'll do Starfighter mode next. R2JD2 in the IGN.com chat, live chat, asks, what are your favorite heroes to play with? How about you, man? Yoda? Yoda all day?
Yoda's great.
Yoda is the worst.
I think a couple heroes, I really like Han's kit. I think it's very evocative of who he is from a top-down design perspective. So, like, thinking about what Han does, you know, he doesn't get, like, a backflip, or he doesn't get the ability to call in an orbital strike from the Millennium Falcon, which I feel like would be stretching it. He charges a guy with his shoulder and knocks him into a wall. And he's kind of like not, you know, he's not a martial expert.
Yeah, but now that you say orbital strike from the Millennium Falcon, I want an orbital strike from the Millennium Falcon.
$5. What about you? Who's your fave?
So Yoda is like, if anybody played, I mean, I hope all of you have played GoldenEye.
What is that?
Yoda is the odd job of this game, because he's this big, he's very, very tiny, and every time he swings his lightsaber, he does a little flip jump.
He's impossible.
He's so hard to hit. And on top of that, he's got 700 health and an ability that gives him 200 more that he can then use on repeat. So he's extremely hard to kill. There's a great video that you can look up on our YouTube or on IGN.com of James getting 30 kills. It was a 30 kill streak, right?
It was, yeah.
Just insane. So he's really cool. But probably my favorite is Boba. Boba Fett's jetpack is really, really fun, and he has one of his abilities is that he never runs out of fuel, and so he can just keep flying. Yeah, I really, really like Boba. And honestly, Iden Versio, too, the character, the custom character from the campaign.
She's a little bit pushed in terms of her power level, for sure.
She is, but she's got a really, really, really fast blaster. That's pretty
Except for that drone, man. That drone does nothing. It's so crazy. Like, it stuns somebody for like a quarter of a second. It has a 3-second activation. Anyway. It's like, at some point I just want to jump in and have fun with the Star Wars game, and I do think this game accomplishes that in some capacity, progression system aside. But there's like a lot of this stuff that I, as a PC guy, have kind of come to expect a level of fidelity and a level of being able to think through balance and class progression and abilities. And like, when I was going through, I did a video capturing all of the abilities for all the heroes. And some of the kits were great, and some of them were an absolute mess. The Emperor's kit, for example, is a disaster. Not just because he's weak. Not just because he's weak, because he's got 4 different lightning abilities that all look the same. Readability, you can't tell what the hell is going on.
I think the Emperor is hilarious.
He's funny, but like,
not
man,
like
he's
in a great,
bad.
like, not in a good way, but God, he's such a funny hero.
He has no escape and he has no defensive. So all he has is an auto-aim lightning that doesn't really do a lot of damage compared to other heroes.
Yeah.
And then a couple of lightning abilities that also don't do a lot of damage. And then he has no escape or mobilities or damage mitigation.
Walking up to someone very slowly as they shoot you and then like tickling them with lightning is so funny. There was a really good question actually from Rockstar XP in the YouTube chat, which is, why did the review in progress score change in the final review? So for those who don't know, our final review is now up on IGN.com. You can go see that and see in full what I think about the game. But yeah, it was a 7 in the review in progress that we released on Monday, and now it is lower than that. And the reason, the main thing that changed is I spent more time with the game, right? My opinions of single player basically didn't change, but I spent more time with the game, I spent more time with progression systems, and I felt that, and again, reviews are opinions, but this is my opinion from playing the game, I felt that the progression system got worse the farther you got into it. It starts out as a kind of a pretty prohibitive system that seems pretty slow, but also you get loot crates. Like, everyone is citing those numbers of like you get a loot crate every 2.5 hours of gameplay, which is like might be strictly true, but it's not true at the beginning of the game because you're getting a lot of
Well, it's also not
achievement
strictly true
credits.
based upon your personal performance.
Right, because your personal performance can
right?
increase
That's an average.
Yeah. So I was trying to see, well, does this kind of quickened pace through achievements of credit earning through achievements keep up? Does it run out? How does the system change? And over time, I think the system gets worse. I think you get credits less and loot crates because duplicate cards give you credits instead of crafting parts. Loot crates become less valuable as the game goes on, and it just felt really, really punishing. And the farther I got into it, the less I wanted to play. So that's why the score changed mostly.
Sure. I envy no reviewer because it is very difficult. My opinion on Destiny 2 has been a roller coaster of all kinds of different stuff. And after being said and done and having put 3 weeks into it on the PC version, then some time in the PS4 version, and hitting the wall in terms of what I want to do and the incentives to drive me to do content and the quality of that content itself, I'm no longer super interested in playing that game right now. I need to wait.
Whoa, that was close.
Yeah, dude, I got chops.
I will say one of my favorite things about this game is the visuals, but also just the audio design of the game. It so sounds like a Star Wars movie, and part of the battle droid voices are so funny. They're really, really good.
What is interesting is you could release Starfighter mode in and of itself as a standalone, free-to-play title, kind of a World of Warplane scenario, and it would do great.
You wouldn't even have to change the monetization system.
Boom! There you go, man. No, seriously, release this for free is I don't know. I feel like AAA developers just need a little bit of context. They need to log on to the League of Legends client and understand the level of commitment and fidelity and online and living, breathing patching that's happening with that game, and then commit to it. The other reason that these microtransactions are unacceptable in this conventionally monetized context is not just because I'm paying $15, $60 up front, but also because this game is not going to be supported in 2 years. So when I spend $5 in League of Legends, that is a $5 that will increase the value of that account for the next 10 years or longer. When I spend $5 here, it's going to be a year of very full servers and then less, and then there's going to be a Battlefront 3.
We don't know that for sure, right? But I think it's not an unfair assumption to make.
Same thing with Destiny.
Yeah.
I don't want to get too committed to it.
So you mentioned League of Legends, and I think that's a really interesting thing to bring up because.
Watch me.
Oh, very nice. Anyway, that was more like just spying a straight line than I thought it was going to be. But anyway.
I wasn't sure. Anyway.
So it's interesting to bring up League of Legends because meanwhile, while this whole loot box thing is going on, League of Legends actually just removed some microtransactions from their game. They actually just made their game more hospitable towards free-to-play players.
Sure.
Because they had a system called, they had this rune system that was, I think, in my opinion, one of the most
bad.
One of the most obtuse parts of League of Legends, where you had to you could equip. God, I can't even remember the numbers now. It was 27. You could equip 30 different runes, and there were 4 different types of runes, and then there were 3 tiers of the runes, and the runes could do different things.
And ultimately, this is giving you stats that only really matter at the start of the game.
Yeah, it's only negligible amounts of stats because if they made them significant stats, everyone would have cried pay to win. But you needed them at top level play, and it was just this really convoluted thing, and they just removed that system entirely, and now you don't have to buy runes separately anymore. And
it has been almost 10 years though that it took them to get rid of that terrible system.
Yeah, no, I definitely. I'm not saying kudos for having it that long. Sure. I'm just saying it's funny to see that developer kind of pulling away from some of the stuff that other developers are currently getting.
It's because they have a monetization system that has been in place and they don't have to freak out about it. I think if you look at the initial monetization model of League of Legends, it communicates a much more it's the Millennium Falcon, a much more concerned developer who is worried about making money and keeping people hired and not having to lay off a bunch of folks because they need to make money. So yeah, you kind of have to rob Peter to pay Paul in that sense because at some point it's okay to justify a little bit of this. That is vertical progression for money. That's what runes are. Granted, you have to get to a certain level to unlock certain tiers of them, but ultimately, you're buying rune pages, you're buying runes, whatever. But that's okay because of how minor it is. And then eventually that game got to a self-sustaining point where they realized that we can make money purely off of aesthetics and crashing into walls and stuff like that. As well as there are all kinds of microtransactions you can do in League of Legends. But
there are a couple comments, also responses on Twitch to the League thing. Decaying Trust says the new blue essence system in League is bad though, which is, yeah, it's got some problems. I know that Riot has also admitted it has some problems, and they're going to do some stuff to fix it. And then Primark brings up League of Legends monetization system being terrible compared to Dota, where all the heroes are free, and like that's also fair, but
sure, it's all aesthetics in Dota.
Dota has a very good free to play monetization model, like they really do. I think that it's easy, or it's possible to celebrate those successes without and like address those criticisms without necessarily like pushing to one extreme or the other.
I think that Dota also came out after League, and I think they needed a mission statement to get people off of League and onto Dota beyond it just being Dota 2. And that was like, hey, here's the whole roster, have fun.
So how long about was that match, would you say? Like
15 minutes maybe.
Okay, and you got 200 credits. Like, this is one of the things that's really, I think, is a very simple change that they could make to this game that would have a very large impact on how fun it was to play and progress through, is making those performance credit bonuses more clear, and making victory bonuses, if they're not already in the game, more clear. Mm-hmm. Like, you need to finish a game and then see, oh, I got this many credits for what I did in that match. Instead, it just kind of feels like, oh, I'm going to get a certain number of credits depending on how long the match is, no matter what. Like, I've played games or matches in Battlefront 2 where I'll do incredibly well, we'll destroy the enemy, we'll win in 5 minutes, and then I'll get 120 credits because of that. Right. Because it's like, we won so quick that we like got this really paltry amount of reward. And that doesn't feel good. You should feel rewarded for playing well in a way that is tangible and noticeable and you can like take pride in. And this game just doesn't do that. And that's not a thing where they have to do massive reworks to the system to accomplish just making it clearer how much you're getting for your performance.
Yeah, it's a number.
You just gotta save your thing. Good job, man.
Thanks. Yeah, I guess I am pretty good. I agree. I also think that like a lot of this stuff can be traced back down to the AAA, the insane crunch AAA development lifestyle. And look, we talk about games as a service and their prevalence, but the real games as a service are ones that are in development for a very long time and continue to stay in development and aren't necessarily sequels or big iterations. And if they are sequels, like there's a big amount of time, a large amount of time in between each of those games. So I look at this kind of game like a conventionally monetized AAA release that's claiming to be a game as a service in a very different capacity than I look at even Overwatch which was also conventionally monetized. But I know Blizzard has established their cadence for their level of commitment and quality, and they're not just going to release something and then ditch it in 2 years. And ultimately, as like a PC guy, that is something that I think that we have a lot more experience to. You and I can go download World of Tanks in 20 minutes and play that, and that has had years and years of iteration. It's gone through a lot of hard times and still has a lot of problems, but at least it's made that much. Warframe as well. Like, look at Warframe and its release date. Imagine if Warframe were a conventionally monetized $60 release that came out for console and then moved on to make a sequel. All of the resources would have been spent on the sequel, making it better visually, adapting all the abilities, getting the groundwork laid out, and no time would have been able to be invested into reworking the progression system, understanding what the best content in the game is, and then creating more of that content. Doing weird new stuff like making a huge open world zone. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, I don't know, I've been preaching this for years, but...
I do want to shout out real quick if we do have our live chat over on IGN.com. If you want to watch and join the chat there, we're taking questions. We're going to create a poll to see what game mode you want to see next in a little bit. You can vote in on that. You can also tag us with hashtag IGNPlaysLive on Twitter. Ask us questions there. We are checking that as well, and I am pulling up all the chats on Twitch and YouTube a bit. But yeah, come talk with us. Ask anything about the game if you want to. I can create it when we're going to do a little more Starfighter Assault for a bit. But thank you.
Speaking of which, I'm going off right now.
Yeah, you're doing good. I don't want to stop this hot streak.
Is this Airbnb? No, okay.
Was there a person named that?
I thought it was.
Oh, gotcha.
At a distance, his name looked like Airbnb. It's like, take this, Airbnb.
That is a really good name for the Starfighter mode, specifically.
That is.
13-player kill streak. Look at this.
Oh, now I gotta kill Darth Maul.
You're going after Darth Maul?
You can still see him in his invisible mode, which I like, but he's still, like, hard enough to... Also, let me just say straight away that the ships that can heal themselves are straight up much better than the ones that can't.
I mean, that's a trend with the star card you like, too, right?
Yeah.
Just, if you can heal yourself, you have a major advantage in this game. Get 14. Was that yours? Did you get that one? I didn't even see. It didn't pop up a name, I don't think. I do like that it'll tag somebody as like avenge when like whoever has killed you. Makes these firefights a little more personal, which I like.
This is definitely one thing that Battlefront has over Battlefield is the aerial combat. And a mode dedicated specifically to it. Like it's great.
Just listen to those lasers.
You can also jump in this mode if you're not comfortable with flying around in a ship, and then when you do have enough points to unlock a ship in like the Galactic Assault, you can do so and then feel much more comfortable. Because there's always that kind of like, if you jump into a plane for the first time in Battlefield, like you were going to crash, you know? So there's that whole learning curve, so just getting some time in the air is very helpful.
Do you ever play Rising Storm 2 Vietnam?
Yep. Can't fly a helicopter to save my life in that game.
The helicopter flying in that game is so hard, man. It's so difficult, and I wouldn't change it for the world because it's
great.
When you get into that game and you get into a team with a helicopter pilot who knows what they're doing, they are super valuable.
Yeah, that's very fun.
Mark Medina up in the chat. Hey, Mark.
What up, buddy? Oh, Darth Maul. Take that, Darth Maul! I'm going off on Darth Maul. Look at this, and he's just having it. Oh, come on. There we go.
Crash. Kill assist.
I swear, if you broke down like on a pie chart, like how hero ships die, 90% of it at least is a crash.
Hyena bombers have initiated an attack run. Stop them.
Oh. You're doing very well here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna jinx you, but you were doing very well here.
I will hopefully have a hero ship unlocked after.
You have 7,000 battle points, so I think probably yes.
That's the weird other thing is I don't really want to kill myself right now. It's like it's just going well.
Yeah, no, don't end this hot streak.
The force is strong with this one.
Oh.
Yeah, he's got a lot tighter turning radius than I do because he's a fighter. And I like that. I actually like the interceptor, fighter, and bomber. Like bomber can shoot for a lot longer without having to recharge, but turns like crap.
Their bombers are damaging our forces. Stop them.
Ooh, here's a good question. Primark over on Twitch asks, what are your opinions on quote-unquote gambling progression systems on a game that will be brought to minors for hundreds of thousands of parents for Christmas? So gambling in general is like it's a very interesting debate, and I don't think, at least I don't have 18, man. Can you get to 20?
Oh, I'm sure you did. Come on, give me the. Why is okay?
Yeah, the indicator wasn't showing up.
Yeah, like I would love just a target button.
I think that's an ability.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
How much? How many dollars?
We can't make those jokes anymore. They don't have real money in them.
They will.
We know they will. We just don't know what it'll be.
You know what's sad is I'm gonna get to the end of this match without even getting to play any hero ship because I'm just doing too well.
Yeah, you might. Once you get to 20, you might want to just like tank it.
All right, fine. Get another kill here.
Oh.
Republic cruisers are key strategic assets. We need to defend them.
Man, it's so easy to dodge missiles.
It really is. The missiles are bad.
20!
20, all right. Into the sea we go. Let's see if we can.
How close to the water till you just explode?
Yusa gonna take Yusa through the planet core.
Oh, you actually went into
That's
the
what it
water.
looks like down there too. So now we know.
Dang, yeah.
8,000. All right. What can I
8,000.
get? All right. Well, all the
Millennium
good ships
Falcon?
are taken, so I can take the Millennium Falcon,
For 3,000.
which is not a great ship.
You overcompensated there a little bit. But the gambling thing is an interesting question. I think it's a discussion that we probably are not qualified to completely answer because
I'll
those
answer.
are. I mean, those are just things that are regulated. Like,
Put me in, coach. I'm ready.
then go ahead. What do you feel about it?
I don't think it's appropriate. I do think that like Star Wars is a children's franchise, and I think loot box progression has yet to really be like pegged as. And you know what? I'm surprising that more like mainstream media outlets aren't taking this narrative and running with it because it's a very easy gripe to have with video games. It's like you can gamble in it and spend a bunch of money and get nothing. I think loot box progression is bad outside of the gambling argument, period. I think the inability to control the outcome of the loot you're getting or the progress you're making is strictly a way to lengthen that progression system, which, you know, is okay in some contexts. Like,
Do you consider Overwatch loot box progression?
absolutely.
Okay. I'm just trying to determine whether cosmetics is part of that.
Cosmetics is part of it.
Okay.
And, you know, Overwatch is not, as much as they are a paragon of loot boxes. Like, I don't like the Falcon. Everybody just shoots you when you're in the Falcon.
You're a very
Get out
large
here.
target.
Just can't shake anybody.
So I don't disagree with anything you've said. My opinion though is that it is like I'm really nervous that
Yoda.
the community outcry here is going to push some sort of government entity to straight up ban loot boxes from video
Fine,
games.
great. See ya.
And I'm not okay. Like I'm not as okay with that. I think that
I just don't care.
I don't like the idea of developers having less tools in their toolbox. But on top of that, I think that they should be regulated in a certain way. But I think that loot boxes can be done well in games.
Woo!
Like I don't think that there is a no-win scenario with that.
Show me a great example of loot box.
Well, obviously things like, and that's the thing is, I don't have one offhand because
There
I
you
think
go.
it is hard.
They don't exist.
But what I will say is, clearly, Star Wars Battlefront 2 is not a good example, right? Like this is, I'm not arguing that like this is somehow exempt from this, right? But I think that there is a way where they can work, and I don't think that, like, I think that regulation and they should be gone, they're evil are two different things. And
Sure.
I'm in favor of exploring regulation. I'm not in favor of
Getting rid of all loot boxes,
blind
sure.
rage towards loot boxes.
Well, okay,
because I
so-
think there are times where I think they are fun to have.
Yeah, it's cool to open like an MTG booster pack, and that is essentially a loot box.
Exactly.
It's cool to kill
Card
a boss
games.
and get a drop that is randomized, because that's essentially a loot box.
Yeah.
But again, the means to that end, I think loot box carries with it a connotation of being able to pay real money to circumvent
Yes.
the natural progression.
And that I'm not
that
okay
is
with.
getting taken too far.
Yes.
So let's go back to Overwatch. So Overwatch is a paragon of loot boxes. It's all aesthetic, right? Nothing is mechanically effective. No
Oh.
crashes, yeah.
Yoda is
He's
quick,
nimble.
man.
Yeah. Of course, we all remember that awesome scene where Yoda is in his starfighter just mercilessly slaughtering the droids. You can play out that fantasy in this.
that
I love that scene.
iconic Star
That
Wars
iconic-
moment.
Oh, that iconic moment when Yoda gets right behind Boba Fett and finally kills Jango and his son in a ship in a big fiery death. Oh! Let's get a little bit of distance. Oh, I got him. Oh, no, wait. Different guy. Where are you?
You gotta keep going after Boba.
Yeah, if I see him. See him, let me know.
I think it's so funny how cheap the hero ships are in Starfighter.
They are.
They're much cheaper than the hero characters.
But Overwatch is not exempt from shady business garbage.
no,
As
I
an
don't-
example, I wrote an article way back when, in the first year of Overwatch, called How Blizzard Invalidated Its Own Currency. And this was when the summer loot boxes came out, which were, as we all know now, event loot boxes that are limited time only, and you only have a limited window to get those skins. And at that point, we didn't know if we would be seeing another Summer Games. I think the assumption there was it was tied to the Olympics, so if they did come back, it would be in 4 years. So there was a lot of demand for those skins. There were some really cool skins. Was it Nihon Genji?
Nihon Genji, yeah.
The
Japan Genji one.
the McCree with the American flag draped over him, like all this cool stuff. And you couldn't craft those with gold. And gold is the currency you get when you get a duplicate, or sometimes you just get it. So it's like the equivalent of what's it called? It's credits. Yeah. But anyway, you weren't able to craft those with gold, so that was Overwatch's loot box progression at its worst, which was if you wanted something, you had at some point to spend money in an attempt to get it. And I remember sitting there having spent $60 for a video for IGN, which I probably expensed. And then I just wanted that McCree skin, and there was no way for me to get it. Yeah. I had completed all of, like, the dailies or whatever. I had been playing forever. I didn't really want to play anymore. I just wanted that skin. So I spent another $20 and still didn't get it.
This is a close match.
This is. What is my team doing? Blame your team. Let's go back to the basics. Basics of the James Duggan's Guide to Being Good at Video Games. So yeah, I don't think, like, let's look at Overwatch and be like, oh, they're so great, and loot boxes are fine in Overwatch. I think there are still problems with loot boxes.
To be fair, though, they did, oh my god, 0-0!
Who knows? Yeah.
What? Ah, come on!
Hey, when you play Battlefront 2, you lose. Every time. Just kidding, I'm joking.
To Overwatch's credit, and to Blizzard's credit with that game and that controversy, they did recognize it, and they did change it from every event going forward.
Sure.
So now you can buy them with gold. I don't disagree with the fundamental of anything you're saying. It's just that is a situation where a company very much recognized what their community was saying and responded accordingly. Which is nice.
I also think, there are some things that are tied to achievements in Overwatch, and that's some of my favorite content, like the cute sprays for getting a pentakill or hexakill with someone's ultimate. Are really fun. That's a cool way to tell a story. Again, the progression should be about telling a story. It should make you feel cool, both in terms of the gameplay and in terms of how you acquired it. And I think that is the second part especially is something that we have lost sight of entirely in terms of progression.
Can you go to scoreboard?
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I can't.
Okay. Never mind then.
Yeah, I can. Like, look at how good I did, and still I'm only number 3, and yet we lost.
40 eliminations, right? The most in the entire game. And if you go back to personal now, go to that tab.
And they still won.
You didn't even get 350 credits.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand how the personal score part of this goes into the credit system. Like, it's just opaque.
Because you don't want the good players to be better than the bad players. That would be ridiculous. I have major fatigue. Yeah, I know. I love this map, first of all. Oh man, there's asteroids going everywhere now on this map. That's changed from when I played it. Do you know what's dope about this map?
Enemy fighters spotted. Destroy them before they can reach their objective.
So, yeah, I agree with everything you're saying. I think loot boxes are inherently very frustrating, and a lot of care needs to be put into making a system that actually makes them fun to get rather than frustrating to get. I'm nervous that if the world goes ham on loot boxes and completely bans them, I think
that's never going to happen.
Right, I know, but I'm saying that, like, what happens to Magic the Gathering, right? Like, what happens to those card games? I care. I think
Magic the Gathering has had booster packs for 20 years. It's not going to change.
I suppose, but if it legally has to, that would be an interesting...
Going for it! Didn't work. I'm talking about especially in games. And here's the other thing that I just want to point out. Taking skins and applying them to a different game generally works because it's only aesthetic. Taking loot boxes and applying it to a different kind of design, I don't think a loot box it's not a cure-all. It's not something that can be adapted to every single design.
I think 100% agree with that.
As a designer, you have to look at your game. Oh, they're invisible again. The models are not loading. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you can only see the little thrusters. That's so cute.
So I'm basically just shooting a red rectangle. So in a way, we haven't evolved from asteroid. I'm just joking. I'm joking. There we go. Anyway, so like I think you have to look at your game and understand what are the things I can monetize, what are the things that I can have progression systems in, what is appropriate, what makes sense, and I think League of Legends, as much as people will say Dota has a better system, which it does, this is a good example of that, right? Every hero ideally should be balanced, and that is an ongoing process to make sure that heroes are balanced within their roles. So the idea of them being able to be purchased with money is not a bad thing because you were getting something different as opposed to something objectively better. And also, like, I don't know, man. I'm just tired of not having anything to grind for. All the grind is a loot box, and I just don't care. I become apathetic. All right, let's do it again. Here's going to be the goal of this one mission. You ready? I'm going to do 180. I'm going to hit the thruster, and then I'm going to get inside this ship. I'm going to go nuts. I'm going to go hard right here, and go back in because it's a dope.
I'm dead.
Do some of this. I'll try spinning. That's a good trick. Invisible X-Wings. Terrifying. Oh, I'm gonna die. So anyway, yeah, loot box progression, generally I am completely fatigued on it, and I really hope not to see it in other games. You know...
I don't blame you, to be honest.
I'm just tired of it.
I'm pretty tired of it right now, too. I think it's a system that Overwatch helped popularize and is not, as you said, it's not a catch-all. It does not work with everything, and it should not have been tried to be applied to everything. But I don't have a fundamental problem with loot boxes. I think they're being,
I don't think I do.
I think they're being fundamentally misused. Is how I'd say it.
And then talking expressly about progression, not even monetization for a minute. Let's bring up. I want to bring up a game called Hunt Showdown.
Yeah, that one looks cool.
Checked. It does look cool. I think there just needs to really be a better understanding. I lost. So I won. Okay, whatever.
So, real quick, before we talk about Hunt Showdown, we have started a poll in the IGN live chat. Chime in, jump in, see which mode you want to play next between Heroes vs. Villains, the Strike mode, or basically the Deathmatch mode, which I think is called Blast. I couldn't remember the name. So whichever one you want to see next, hop into there. We're going to be running that poll for the next minute or so.
That gentleman's name was Slipnote.
Not Slipknot?
Not Slipknot. Slipnote 6976.
Oh, lovely.
Very cute.
Yeah. Top of the board. That doesn't surprise me.
Where are we going now? Galactica Side until they're done?
There's 20 more seconds to vote.
Oh, 20 more seconds.
Looks like
Heroes. Go. By the time you see this, it'll be too late. We'll just chill in the menu.
Slipnote is my dad, Twitch chat says. Yeah, so Heroes and Villains is the clear leader here, I think.
All right, let's do it. I'm down. That's going to be fun. All right, Hunt Showdown. Progression. What is progression? Progression is the ability to confer better items to players or different items to players.
Webster defines progression
as a way to, number one, help them customize and kind of reach a core fantasy of what they want their character to do, and number two, tell a story. And also, I think aesthetics play a big part in it. So that's what progression is. And nobody seems to really understand how to do progression right these days. I feel like people are taking crazy pills, and nobody can get progression right. Destiny can't get progression right. Battlefront can't get progression right.
It's because there's this pressure for games to live forever now.
Yeah.
Right? This is part of what I'm talking about, where the progression system in this feels like it needs to be long because there's this expectation that the game needs to last a long time. But that expectation didn't exist 5 years ago when games were just like being made, you know. 5 years ago, I think it did. Well, I think it was actually popularized in the shooter space by Modern Warfare. Okay.
And that's okay. And look what Modern Warfare didn't have that bad of a system. All of their weapons felt fundamentally different to use, so you could grind for those. You could grind out some skins or whatever, attachments. You could still customize your character. You could still fulfill a class fantasy. That's very important. Disabling certain things for some classes so other classes can do them. That's an important part of a role-based fantasy in any game. And then it also had prestige. And what is prestige? Prestige is the Kylo. Prestige is the end-all, be-all. We're gonna make 50 JPEGs, and it's going to take you 9,000 hours to progress. If you want to do that, go for it. Who cares? I'm all for those systems. That's fine. It gives you a cool little emblem. Look how much I played this game. That's fine. But progression is being misunderstood from a becoming entwined with monetization standpoint, and also just what we want as progression. So let's go to Hunt Showdown, which is a game that I'm really looking forward to, but I kind of right off the bat am not interested in playing because of the progression system. So what is the progression system, you ask? Well, thank you for asking, Tom. You can,
You're welcome.
It's permadeath, and basically it's 2v2v2v2, and the idea is to kill a monster, and then take that monster and run out with it as a trophy. And that is going to, this is a game that is coming out from Crytek, and that is going to allow you to get better weapons, better abilities, customize your character, level them up. But then, when that character dies, everything is gone. Everything. Nothing is retained. And I think that is taking it too far in the opposite direction. That permadeath is going to not make it fun to play. It's going to be an oppressive experience. And also, people are going to play very differently. That progression is going to have a fundamental impact on the way people play that game. They're going to go around that game camping, not taking any risks. It's not going to be a fun, dynamic space, and that's something that progression should think about.
Yeah, that was a very unexpected part of that game too.
I'm no longer interested in playing that game. It's flat out. I know that I'll get too salty. I know that people are going to be too crappy with the way they play. No one's going to want to have fun. You should be incentivizing fun. Anyway.
So we also did a poll of what villain you want to see next, and
Darth Maul.
Looks like the leader right now is Darth Maul. So if you want to chime in on which villain you'd like to see next, go on over to IGN.
Oh, Yoda's there. This is cool. I haven't played this mode yet.
Oh yeah, it's fun. It's chaotic. It's like.
All right. So what do I got? I got
this.
It's
total
I got
madness.
Block. I got the freeze. I have the pull, and then I have that. Okay.
You also have a button that you can press where you just like whine a bit.
Really?
No.
Oh, that'd be dope. Can I take my mask off?
It's one of his emotes.
Can I take my mask off and the whole theater laughs? Because that was my experience with it. No, stop it!
So the way this mode works, I guess a lot of people at home probably have not played it either. The way this mode works is 4v4. One team is all heroes, one team is all villains, and since there are 4 base heroes each time, you can everyone will always be a hero. It looks like. Can you press A to start? Oh, okay, we're being Darth Maul now.
All right. Cool. I noticed that I was like kind of locked into just spamming the right trigger and not really being able to use abilities. But
so it says you will be the next target, and what that means is the game basically plays out in rounds where
yeah. Oh man, he did a shoulder charge. That's so cool.
It plays out in rounds where each team, one of their heroes becomes the target.
Sure.
And if the other team can kill the target, they get a point, basically. And it's the first team to 10 points wins. And each time a target is killed, it randomizes to do the next target. So it's this kind of interesting dynamic of, it's chaos because everyone's a hero and all the heroes are like inherently overpowered.
Sure.
But it's this interesting dynamic of like, you're both trying to protect one of your people while also trying to kill a specific one of theirs. It's like a weird variation of like human capture the flag almost.
That's kind of cool.
It's
I
very
like it.
strange, but it's a fun one. It's a fun mode. The interesting thing though is that as you saw there, because someone on your team has Darth Maul unlocked, they could be Darth Maul, and that means that both Kylo Ren and because someone had Darth Vader unlocked, both Kylo Ren and Darth Maul are available, right? So now you can switch to Bosk. If no one on your team has extra heroes unlocked though, there's only 4 base available, and you'll never switch heroes.
So that's another great example of how the progression system is bad.
Yeah, it does hurt this game. You're gonna be the target for a 3rd time now.
Whatever. I'll just run. I'm very fast.
Boba Fett is the best to be the target as because you can just fly away from everyone. And you have your sensor so you can see people through walls.
Sure.
And so you just like know exactly where they are and they can never get to you.
The Emperor is just funny, man.
He's
just
so silly.
One thing I want to point out that I think a great job was done in Battlefront 2 is the animation, the level of attention to detail, especially with the heroes. Like, they nailed the cadence in the way that Luke Skywalker moves. He's not like this very super hyper-athletic guy. And so he kind of moves around as such. And then Darth Maul feels like Darth Maul. He doesn't feel like a difference in character.
Bosk is boss, Kanze Kage says in the IGN chat. I know a lot of hardcore Star Wars fans are gonna jump on me for this, but I don't get why Bosk is in this game. I know he's like big in the Clone Troopers stuff or in the Clone Wars show.
Oh, is he? Okay, then I think. How dare you?
I know. And then he's got a bunch of stuff in the like extended universe. But man, why is Bosk in this game? It's so funny to have Bosk next to Darth Maul and Yoda. Like
it is. Oh, the mind control. Oh, it's awful. Hey, I died canonically.
Needs more Jar Jar. It says in the YouTube chat.
I actually would love Jar Jar as a character, and I think that,
as a hero.
Yeah. So like, if you think about like Hearthstone card design and kind of what is that guy's name? What is his name? The gnome that will either turn somebody into a 1/1 or a 5/5. It's just pure random.
Oh, man, oh goodness, now I'm totally blanking. Tink Master.
Tink Master Overspark. Yeah. So that card is not good, but it can be really good, and I think Jar Jar should be designed as such. Like, he has abilities that are just randomly targeted and are sometimes amazing, but are other times awful. I think he should be like wobbling around with one of those like balls stuck to his foot. You know what I mean? The like.
We just had
Gungan
long
orbs.
conversations about balance and progression, and now we're just like, just
yeah.
add randomized Jar Jar in there. Ooh,
yeah.
Yoda.
I didn't even know what was hitting me.
I know, he's so tiny.
He did pre-order, so there's that.
Yeah, he did. That's one of the pre-order cards. Or no, that's the deluxe edition cards, I think.
I'm just tired in my soul.
This is a very frustrating part of this game, too, is even if they've removed real money microtransactions, anybody who purchased the deluxe edition still gets fancy max-level cards.
Or purchased microtransactions before. Like,
Yeah.
a bunch of people spent hundreds of dollars and are now just the best. Which, like, I don't even really care, because I don't know. It's difficult for me to articulate why I feel that way about it, but I wish I could, like, jump down there into, like,
You will die in classic Darth Maul fashion if you fall down that pool. It will be
let me get down
canon,
here and,
I believe.
Come here. Come here. Ha-ha! Ha-ha! Take that, Lando. Yeah. I just killed the second coolest character in Star Wars.
Ooh, Kanze Kage saying, I'd love to see Grievous.
I would too, man.
General Grievous would be crazy cool in this game. But I feel like
I can't use my
from-
abilities, which is
apart
annoying.
from Darth Maul, like,
Rey is so good.
yeah, she's really strong.
She's not that. What's crazy is she's not that great in
Rey's
regular mode.
You got meleeed.
Yep.
She had a lightsaber and she still meleeed you.
She kicked me with her fist. Who can say?
Apart from Darth Maul and young spry Yoda, there's like, and all the droid trooper stuff there, but there's not much of the prequel trilogies in this game. Why is Han just giving up?
So that's his death animation.
That's his death animation?
Yeah.
I've never seen it that clearly.
Yeah, it's just like, whoa, no, it's good. Like, even the death animations, I think, are good. I just killed Yoda as Darth Maul. Get a wreck. I'm gonna jump! No, I messed up. I done goofed. Alright, let's change our character here. I'm Bosk. No, Bosk is gonna be awful in this mode. He's not gonna be good. Yeah, Bosk, you go back and you watch Bosk and you realize it's just a man in a mask with not that great prosthetics.
So here's my. You got your pitch for Jar Jar. Here's
Stop
my
it, Darth Maul! He can't not fall as Darth Maul. He just gravitates towards giant
It's
pits.
his destiny. This was your destiny.
It's basically that. What is that? Final Destination.
So here's my pitch for Jar Jar. You got your pitch for Jar Jar.
Okay.
Here's my pitch for Jar Jar.
All right, go.
He's a hero that is available from the beginning at all times for every character, but there can only be one of them on the entire battlefield at a time.
Ooh, I love it already.
He costs 0 battle points.
I love it.
So anyone can spawn in as him, and he has no weapons.
Is he
So one
good?
person on the battlefield at a time,
What does he do?
he is Jar Jar.
But he screws stuff up, right? Like
One person on the battlefield at a time can just be Jar Jar.
So it's like just for jokes? Because I think he
Yes.
should be actually better than like a base trooper. And I like the idea of one person being able to be Jar Jar, who has like double the HP of a base trooper and can kind of like fumble around and get some kills in a very Jar Jar way.
Like he'll automatically kill, like he can't be damaged by tanks or something, like they can drive over him
Yeah.
and like all these little references.
Or it's like a Stratego. Is that Stratego? I don't. Stratego. Where's my lightsaber? It's gone. Somebody took my lightsaber. Now I don't have it. There.
Oh,
it
there
is.
you go. You threw it and
And
it
it
just
just
never
stayed.
came back.
But I was still like this. I think you should be like the Stratego assassin, where one person as Jar Jar, after surviving with him for 2 minutes, unlocks an ability to instantly kill a hero. And when he kills, it's got to be a Jedi. It's got to be a Force user.
Right.
And he can be on either side. And if you survive for 2 minutes, you get this. And he goes, Maxi, big the Force. And then the hero dies flat out.
That was a close match, man.
Yeah.
9 to 10.
Let us know your pitches for Jar Jar.
Yeah, tell us your pitches for what you want from a Jar Jar Binks hero in Battlefront 2. I'm sure they're going to be lovely.
Who else do I want? I want Bugale from Rogue One.
Jabba the Hutt.
He squirms around very slowly and doesn't really do much. And why is he even there? Nobody can say. I want Sol Guerrera.
Okay. Max Rebo.
Yeah.
Max Rebo, where he can't really move, but anybody in an area around him gets like a buff, like
I want
Bard
Cassian.
style.
He can only kill his friends. He can only kill allies.
You think Dooku is someone they'd ever put in this game?
You probably.
Yeah.
Dooku could go in this game for sure.
I feel like Dooku's pretty generic in terms of how it goes.
Yeah, his lightsaber's like a little bit bendy, so whatever. that's super different. So yeah, this is Star Wars Battlefront 2. I think I think a lot of the gameplay is very fun, to be frank. I think the Starfighter mode, this was really fun. And I think Galactic Assault, I think if you're a Star Wars fan, there's a lot here. I am completely fine bashing this game purely based on the context of its microtransactions, which, thank goodness, I'm not an IGN reviewer, because that would not be okay. But as an editorial producer here, I'm fine with saying that, because, frankly, this should not continue. This kind of predatory monetization should not continue. It's not something I want in my industry. Hey, if your game costs so much that you have to put these kind of predatory things into your game to make it, maybe consider some stylistic changes. Maybe consider not giving Rey thousands of pores on her face, and instead making it stylized. Focus on the gameplay, and then your game won't cost $1 billion trillion to make, and you won't have to have me dishing out $5 increments to feel like I can compete. So I think that's another big problem. I was actually doing an interview with Glenn Schofield, and we were just talking about the fidelity of a modern Call of Duty game, how massive that is. And how, from a gameplay standpoint, there are not a lot of changes, and that I think there's a big dissonance there. And if you were able to execute on your design vision like an indie developer with relatively low resources, with stylized graphics, or making some sacrifices, I think we'd see a lot more interesting, unique gameplay.
Yeah, I wonder.
Opportunities.
I do wonder how much of current AAA game development culture is just the beast feeding the beast, where it's just it got so big, it had to stay big.
Absolutely.
Right? I think it's interesting. What makes me hopeful is that this is the first time I can remember where that conversation has been had. Right? Yeah. This is the first time in a while where people are actually talking about this in terms of man, really Does the games need to cost this much?
Busk still looks like he has a prosthetic mask on, except when he
that
opens his
lick
mouth.
was so unpleasant.
It was. I'm Busk. This is the worst ability in the game. You ready? That's it. There it is.
But if you hit someone, it does damage.
Yeah,
right?
barely any. You can't cancel it early. You can't come out of it. A lot of the abilities feel pretty clunky. That's an example. If that were in a MOBA, or a Blizzard game, you would have, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die.
That is a mess.
That's how Rey dies, if you haven't seen the new
film. I don't know what you're talking about. This is a MOBA. It's a multiplayer online battle.
But anyway, you would think through these abilities a little bit better. You're not wrong. So you would do that.
Disregarded that so fast.
You would do this ability you would charge, and you'd hit it again, and it'd be a big AoE around you, kind of like Chewbacca's thing. So I don't know. And that's the kind of lack of fidelity and general design savvy that I'm referring to. There's some kits that are really great and really inspired, and others that they just don't seem to really give the crap about. Or there's a mode where they don't. Haha! What are you gonna do now that all your controls are? Oh, you're just gonna hit the right trigger? Okay. Good point.
Zoog2112 in the chat in Twitch chat says Jar Jar should suck the life out of characters within a certain radius of him.
He just has a big AoE that just drains his allies' will to live.
Getsuga24 says Jar Jar is actually an alternate costume for Dengar just to troll Altano.
Oh, that's funny.
Those are both good ideas.
Those are both great.
10 out of 10 ideas.
IGN. All right, Yoda. Yoda's got a great kit. When I saw Yoda in the film, I think my first thought was that guy's probably got a really good kit in multiplayer games. And I was right. Here it is.
The Potato King says tagged us with hashtag IGN Plays Live on Twitter, says, my Jar Jar pitch, the villain team can play as him and run around screwing up everything for the good guys.
I like it.
I like all of those pitches.
So here's how lightsaber combat works in this game, is as fast as you possibly can, you tap the right trigger, and you hope that your connection is slightly faster than theirs, because every time that you tap the trigger, it re-ups. So if you've ever experienced Halo 2, a sword fight with a host of the match, it's basically like that, but think about that 40 times in 10 seconds.
You're the target, careful.
So yeah, it's not great. Take that, Darth Vader.
I love those little hops he does. Are just ooh.
Also, like, I just can't. I don't know. There's no rhyme or reason. It feels like we're.
Darth Vader all covered in mud.
It feels like we're devolving. Like, go back to. What was the Knights of not Knights of the Old Republic, Star Wars Jedi Outcast.
There's also a oh.
Come here, bro.
Did Bosk just get like electrocuted by the Emperor?
Yeah. Welcome to Battlefront. I almost said a bad word, but
Heal
I didn't.
yourself. Heal yourself.
I can't. It's a shield. I can't activate any abilities when someone's styling on you with a lightsaber. Just reasons. Also, he's got 2 cards. That must be it. That's the only reason he won. I know it in my soul. Bum 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 bum.
All right.
Oh wait, does this give a shield to my allies too? I guess it does, huh? All right, take a shield, Ray.
I think I've got this.
Yeah. I feel like one Star Wars game that doesn't get enough love, at least in my opinion, is the
Jedi Academy. Oh, no, wait.
No, the
I'm getting choked.
Oh my god, that's so depressing.
That's very funny and not canonical.
Oh, Yoda. The Force Unleashed games.
Yeah.
I think the Force Unleashed games had some really fun lightsaber fighting in those.
Yeah, they're like arcadey brawlers. I mean,
they also had really good like force abilities where you could pick up a dude and like swing him around and he would ragdoll. Like I thought that stuff was really fun.
I really like the rhyme or reason in Jedi Academy. It felt good. Here, bro.
Oh.
Yeah, get stunned on, you nerds.
Now you're not hating on the Emperor.
Yeah, that's a good point. Maybe he's good in Heroes and Villains, I don't know.
He's definitely silly, regardless. When you hop with him, he kind of like floats and does like a little hop.
Whenever I see Darth Vader running, it doesn't feel canonical. I'm like, you're undermining his character.
Devil Corp Stock
He's
in the
just
live
supposed to
chat on
walk.
IGN says the best Star Wars game was Shadows of the Empire. I love that game, so I'm at least not going to disagree with you.
Take off your rose-tinted goggles and we'll have a discussion.
The IG-88 Junkyard fight, memorable.
Oh,
man.
I'm thinking of the Hoth fight. The Hoth fight was great in that game. It was a good game. It just wasn't. Yeah, no. It's all right. Anybody? That's like bringing up GoldenEye in the best shooter category. I had to.
Uber Mikey B on Twitch asks, does the console version of this game have split-screen PvP or Galactic Conquest like the original Battlefront 2? No, as far as I know, there's no split-screen.
That's just disappointing.
And there's no Galactic Conquest mode, which was a favorite of mine as well. From the
that was great.
Yeah, Galactic Conquest is great.
That.
They actually got asked about DICE got asked about Galactic Conquest in their Reddit AMA.
Sure.
And they gave a very non-committal answer, but they basically said anything's possible. We just want to make sure that it's like up to snuff for modern standards, which is, I guess, a fair answer.
Yeah, that's probably pretty tough resource-wise.
Yeah, so I would love to see that come back, but I don't think there's any immediate. It sounds like there's probably not any immediate plans to do that.
You know what I also think? We've talked a lot about that. Oh, that was awesome. Did you see Boss go flying?
Yeah.
I'm gonna get styled on though for sure. I'm just trying to.
The choking is so sad with Yoda. He's such a tiny old man. So that dude has 2 Kylo Ren max out cards.
That's the only reason he won, Tom. Not because of me.
Not because you got choked out by Darth Vader.
I got choked out by Darth Vader.
You should try some Han Solo.
I was trying, but okay, now it works. I'm here and I'm drunk.
The voice they got for Han Solo ain't terrible. Not awful.
No, I like it.
Some of the voices are really bad. I think the Kylo Ren and Darth Vader voices are embarrassments.
Actually, did you hear him? It was good.
Yeah.
Good job, voice actor. So I just shoot, but he just deflects, which is like pretty much that scene from Empire Strikes Back. So why these guys would ever interact in this capacity is anyone's guess, but I'm gonna shoulder charge him.
Hey, this is like the movie.
That went exactly like I thought it was going.
Did you just piece that together?
I did. It's just like the movie. I died canonically again.
Spoilers, but
you
come
probably
on
should
now.
have seen that by now. Come on.
2 years is I feel like a pretty okay statute of limitations on spoilers.
I need a shot to steady the nerves. Can I voice EA? Can you have me voice Han Solo next time?
Okay, in terms of microtransactions, I'd buy that voice pack. If there was the James Duggan as Han Solo voice pack, I would I would $20 easy. I'd
Oh,
pre-order
no.
it.
Look at this. Look, this is the most Han Solo punch. I just want to get away from being killed by my son for a second. Look at this Han Solo. Ha ha!
It looks like he's kind of going in for like a hug, like he's gonna grab you and like noogie you a little bit. Like,
Oh, come here, Chewie.
you think Han noogies Chewie?
Probably.
Nah.
Oh, hey, it's that scene.
oh.
I'm gonna shoulder charge you. Yeah. Who can forget that classic scene where Han shoulder charges Darth Vader and sends him flying down a flight of steps?
As Bosk shoots a grenade launcher at him from behind.
Oh man, man. Seeing Star Wars characters is fun like it.
Yeah, and so. This is one of the things is like, I gave the game a relatively low score, right? Not like insanely low, but
That's it.
everyone has their own
That's Han
perspective
Solo's
on
kit. I'm gonna throw a bomb.
But there is a joy to
shot.
this game. Oh, he got frozen. There is a joy to this game in just running around as Star Wars heroes and fighting
Yeah.
each other. Like,
if only this was fun.
are you not having fun?
I'm having fun in a Star Wars capacity, not in a gameplay stance. Like,
Yeah.